told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God designed, God designed.
Good evening. Welcome to the Boerboel Show. I'm your host, Jordan Pittman with Exotic Boerboels. What's going on with the Exotic Boerboel family? Thank you for joining everyone. I hope everyone has been busy, getting busy. If you've not been busy, trying to have something going on for yourself, thank you for taking the time to be with us. We got an exciting show tonight. We're going to talk about the United Boerboel Club with the updates, what we got going on, what's the most recent updates with the United Boerboel Club. We're going to talk about the Black Boerboel because we got the questions. Yes. Hello? A little later. I'm a bit busy right now. I'm sorry. I thought it was an emergency. All right. Yeah. So we're going to be discussing the Black Boerboel because last week when we ended the show, we had someone. When last week when we closed out, we had the question, what's going on with the Black Boerboel? So I didn't want to forget about that question. I wanted to make sure that I filled everybody in and address that because that's something that is really controversial. It's a hot topic, the Black Boerboel. And we love the Black Boerboels, and some people feel that they are not Boerboels at all. So we're going to talk about that, the whole introduction to the Boerboel, my position on the Black Boerboel, why I feel the way that I feel about the Black Boerboel, and how we're going to move forward with the Black Boerboel. And I think that it's essential that we understand the Black Boerboel is here, and it's something that we got to deal with. So before we really let's go into the Black Boerboel, let's talk about a little bit about the United Boerboel Club and get everybody a chance to get in and fill in the room. We're going to talk about the United Boerboel Club real quick because we had some people had contacted me and had some questions and some concerns. And so I'm going to set the record straight right now here first, clear the air before we go any further with the United Boerboel Club. What we're going to do is I want people to know that the United Boerboel Club is first and foremost, I got it on the slide for you so we can all see. United Boerboel Club is a registry, and the sole purpose of a registry is to record data. Okay, so we trying to keep track of everything that's going on, all the births, the deaths, and everything in between that goes on with the Boerboel. Pictures, health results, DNA test results, any type of accomplishments and accolades that the dog has throughout his lifetime, any type of issues that the dog have. We are a recording agency. That's what we want to do. We want to keep track of who's who and what's what in terms of bloodlines, what's producing what, and where do they go from there to longevity. We just want to track and get all of this information for future generations. So let that be first and foremost, because some people feel like, well, you got to require this, you should require that. Well, we're not. People are free to breed regardless what they want to breed, right? And that's going to happen regardless. And our hope is to inform and make sure that the people that are going to breed dogs regardless are going about it the right way, and we want to inform them and give them the tools and the opportunities to really perform at their greatest capacity. And if not, you starting to disclude dogs that's eventually going to still be born, still going to be populating the gene pool, and we're not tracking them. And it could be some very important genetics. It could be some very important dogs. And so I don't think that it's fair to start excluding dogs before we got a real firm understanding or data uh, to assess the current standing of the gene pool. So we need to get a good sampling of dogs before we can start to say what we're not going to accept. And so let that be understood, because some people feel like we got to require health testing, we got to require DNA, we got to require this. What we're going to require is the person's signature, and for that person to stand behind what they put on that piece of paper. And the pictures of the dog and the evidence. That's going to be what we're going to be requiring. And what you say is what you want, what it's going to be. Because at the end of the line, it's integrity based. Dog breeding is integrity based, and it's a certain moral compass involved with it. So when the DNA tests come back, things was done in the dark eventually will come to light. And whatever you go, if you sneak in, sliding other breeds in, it's going to be evidenced through the DNA test results at some point down the line. And we'll be able to pinpoint what breeder, who did what, but we have to get a general consumption of data. I don't think that it's fair to state that one dog breeding program is better than the other dog breeding program based off of what? Because what we want to do is track who is doing what. So if you're a breeder and you're doing the health testing, you're doing the DNA testing, we want to be able to record that information and have it as verified information. This breeder did this dog about this dog. This dog was DNA tested, verified, and we'll have that documented evidence. So we'll be able to separate which breeders are doing what. But it's all going to be evidence in the program at the end of the day. So you're going to tell on yourself. If you are not taking all of the steps and doing the things that you need to do in order to produce sound and healthy dogs, or you're not in hot pursuit of a good bloodline, and you're not producing dog, or you're just producing dogs for the sake of producing dogs, just having puppies, and your breeding program doesn't really have a direction, that's going to be evidence. That's going to be evidence. And then we'll be able to say who's who. And now, that's not to say that a certain individual can't produce good dogs. And I'm not trying to single out any particular breeder. Let's make that clear. So we're not trying to single people out. All we want to do, we're not trying to make decisions one way or the other, regardless who, in terms of who's bad and who's good. Our goal is to register, record, and document the data. Okay, let's see. So the next information: all breeders are welcome. The United Boerboel Club is a non-discriminatory agency towards breeders. At the United Boerboel Club, we take pride in fostering a community that embraces diversity, inclusivity, and fairness. As a non-discriminatory agency, we believe that every breeder, regardless of their background, experience, should have an equal opportunity to participate in and contribute to the betterment of the Boerboel breed. And that sums it up beautifully. Our goal is to make an inclusive environment that's welcoming, that where the dogs are judged based on the dog, purely, nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. We're looking at the dog and the totality of the dog, where its true value is, the measurements, what it's producing, when it was born, when it died, when its sons, how many dogs it produced, how many successful breedings did it have. We are trying to collect information such as weight pool results, shut son working trial information, obedience information, whatever your dog is participating in information. We want to know. We want to know if you're doing breeding and you're doing testing, where the fertility is, how much the sperm analysis. If you got any of this information, hip test results, elbow test results, heart cardiac, all of this information. We're going to be a conglomerate of information that's available, so we gonna know who's doing what, and that's the whole sole purpose of a recording data. We're not trying to make decisions as who's the right or who's wrong. We're gonna let the people decide that. Okay. So right now, that's rule number one. That's policy and procedure number one. We're gonna get that understood from the beginning. That we are welcoming breeders from all walks of life, regardless of their race, gender, nationality, or background. We value diversity and believe that an open membership policy allows for a broader exchange of ideas and experiences. And that's going to be that's law from here on out. Let that be known. And for the record, set the record straight. That's what this is all about. So now we're going to get into this black Boerboel, which is very interesting. Very interesting, because without the black Boerboel, we would not have dogs like Balto. And I feel that the black Boerboel, let me say this very, very clearly right now, that the black Boerboel is the key to saving the Boerboel breed. And here's why: for genetic diversity purposes. So, and I think that I might have stated that in other episodes, if you've watched before, my position on the black Boerboel, but I'm stating it right now for the record. I feel that the black Boerboel is a godsend and a blessing that we have the dog's premium genetics. Because of that, we would not be able to produce dogs like Balto, and we would not have these elite genetics that allows us to have hybrid vigor into and diversity into the gene pool and boosting up the dog's health from you will see in the long term the dogs that have the healthy, extremely healthy, abundance of health look. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be more impressive. They're going to be stronger. They're going to have more vitality. They're going to have healthier litters. They're going to live longer. They're going to last longer because of this heterosis effect. And that's known as the diversity in the gene pool. And because of the inclusion of the dogs that have the black dogs, we're going to see this. You're going to watch this over and over again. You're going to see people seeking out to get dogs that they're going to keep trying to include genetics from outside. They're going to try to find dogs that's unrelated. They're going to have problems with that because there is very few limited alternatives when it comes to dogs outside of the black Boerboel. So let me talk about where it began. Why is it so controversial? Why is it so one of the most hated and most loved dog breed colors of a Boerboel at the same time? Why is it like that? Well, the black Boerboels, because of the color, they were kind of controversial. It was a hot topic from the very beginning. Why was it like that? Because that some people didn't believe in the black Boerboels. They didn't have them. You got a small section. You got 3, 4, maybe 13 people that's introducing this breed, and they're the ones that's writing this standard. You got the opinions of 13 people, which is basically like your little local neighborhood or some municipality or whatever. You don't have a really broad selection or sampling of people that is included in the writing of the breed standard. So in the very, very beginning, from the very first start and inception of the Boerboel breed, they excluded the black Boerboel. They had discussions. Do we include black? Do we not include black? Some people was on the fence. Some people say yes. Some people say no. In the finalized decision, we write it out. So later on, black Boerboels appear on the internet, even though that they are unrecognized by the breed standard as a recognized color. Black Boerboels start to appear. They're beautiful. I mean, that's show-stopping, stunning. You can see the abundance of health. The coat just gleams. they shine in the sun, and then they just beam like they got ultra sheen on them. I love them, the black Boerboels. What's going on? So you have the black Boerboels, and they look good, and they take the internet by storm, regardless of what people are saying that's recognized. Some people have them, some people don't. And the people that don't have them may feel jealous, or they have a different opinion as whether it's an original dog, or now you got some people that naturally are going to feel threatened by the black Boerboel, because if you don't have it and it wasn't included, you're going to start to say level claims of cheating, level claims of sneaking, level claims of crossbreeding. And that's basically what happened. Some people had the dogs, other people didn't. And they say, okay, well, this is not fair. And that's how we had the big controversy with the American Boerboel Club, the originators of the American Boerboel Club. So when they started selling these dogs to the people, because this is a rare, you got one of a kind Boerboel that nobody else has, with an extremely impressive look, beautiful dogs, just majestic. And it's eventually what happens is the standard, or the people that are in charge, somehow become swayed into the acceptance of the black dog. And they initially slipped it in as the Ultra Brindle, and that was with the Historical Boerboel Society, or HBSA. And this was an alternative organization to the SABT, which is the founding organization of the Boerboel breed. And this was an alternative. So as the dogs evolve, you have people that break away from the founding of the group. They have differences of opinion. And then what they do is they separate and form their own groups. And so you had the historical HBSA, and these were the ones that first introduced the black Boerboels, and they did it as by classifying the dogs as ultra brindle, appraised the dogs. So they said that the dogs were ultra brindle, which is technically not black, right? So now we have this dog that is ultra brindle and is being accepted as basically a false documentation. And so people got upset about that. Eventually, the South African government has to step in. Some people pull some strings and they say this is basically like a crime that's occurring. People selling these dogs under false pretenses. And then eventually they had the South African government had to step in. That's how things work in South Africa. If you get up there and you start talking about so much money, the government gets involved, and they create what was known as the Animal Improvement Act. The Animal Improvement Act says that one governing body is going to be one sole. It's not going to be all of these different clubs. You're going to have one club that's the sole governing body of each breed. We'll have one governing body of each breed. So that's just giving all the power. So you kind of like have what's known as a monopoly. We don't know whether they have monopoly laws or not. I can't speak to that in South Africa, but that's illegal here to create situations that allow for monopolies. And so you don't have competition, fair competition, and that keeps prices fair. That keeps things fair when you have alternatives to register. Like here, we have abundance of organizations that you can choose to register your dogs with. But over in South Africa, it's illegal if you do it any other way than through their channels, through the SABBS. And that's the way that they just have it. You have to basically accept it. That's the way that it is. They don't, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong. So with that, once the South African government steps in, we got to understand a lot of money is coming in from the United States. $1 here is $13 there in South Africa. So you're talking about exporting a black dog at the time, maybe $5,000 to $8,000, maybe even more than that, $10,000. So you got a black dog that comes in for 10,000 times 13. Transferring into South African rands, and that's over $130,000. So you see how that could really influence some people to participate with black Boerboels, and that is essentially what happened with the breed. And that's really a non-traditional way of gaining acceptance, but it is what it is at this time. And that's how some people feel as though, and then that the South Africans could be kind of shady in the way that they govern in their economics. So it's you know favor to those positioned in power. With that being understood, they accept the black Boerboels because the money talks. Money talks. They're looking for that dollar. That South Africans accept the black Boerboel. Some people here in the United States refuse to accept that as the reality. We continue to have this ever ongoing feud about the black Boerboel right now, currently, as long as the American Boerboel Club is the sole governing body of the African Boerboel, then we will not have any changes being made. And then, but once more people register, that once there is ways to be an alternative to the American Boerboel Club. Once we get so many people, we may be able to oversee that role. But at this time, it's all about the United Boerboel Club, and we running forward. We going forward with the United Boerboel Club. We getting busy with the United Boerboel Club. We been busy all week working, gathering content, putting videos together. We released the footage today about the United Boerboel Club. The sign up is official for the month of August. We're going to be accepting memberships for free, and so once you involve it with the United Boerboel Club, it's really highly involved with the members. Um, so we're gonna have responsibilities, and we're gonna be accountable, and we're also gonna be involved with um, the benefits. It's gonna be highly beneficial for everybody involved, not just the organizations. It's not gonna be purely one sided. We're gonna make sure that it's beneficial for the members, but we're gonna be requiring the participation of the body. We're gonna need the members to be involved. We're gonna need your participation. So right now, for the whole month of August, and we're going forward with everything that we said we're going to do. We're just taking our time. We're taking it one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment, every minute. We're doing it very carefully, and it's going to be planned out because we want to have ultimate success, and that's going to be built off of a strong foundation. The way that we're going to do this is slowly. We're going to go by increments. We're going to do everything that we said we're going to do from the very beginning. That was a long-term plan. It's not going to happen overnight. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have the United Boerboel Club, just like we said, we signing up for the whole month of August. We're gonna gather the original members. This is it, y'all. It's up, it's going. Whole month of August is wide open. You can join for free, it's no fee. If you got a friend, join them, bring them in. Let's get involved. It's gonna benefit, it's gonna be beneficial for everybody. It's gonna be beneficial for us all. And that's a promise. We already have, like I said, a whole site dedicated to selling puppies for the breeders that's registered, that's involved with the United Boerboel Club. We're gonna help y'all get involved with the public. We're gonna also be putting on some shows coming down to Texas. We're gonna show out. Went out there at the show at the Cleveland show at the IX Center. We had a ball. Judgment Day. Shout out to those guys. They put down, it was very interesting. I spoke on it. I touched on it a little bit. But those bullies, we got to remember that they are bred as ornaments. They're not designed for function. And if you take that into consideration, you'll have a better appreciation for those dogs. Because a lot of times people always look at them and say, he can't even walk, he can't even breathe. You got to carry him around in the cart. It's not like, because you're looking at it like a traditional dog. You got to remember that this is like an art. This is like a living baby doll that they created. And it's not designed to do that. It's like a living baby doll that poops and eats, that they feed. So think about it like that. It's not designed to do a job. It's of therefore comfort and companionship. And to say that I have a dog, you got to be very delicate. They're very delicate. It's ornamental. That's why they cost so much. So it's not, you can't really. We want to be objective and look at things from the other person's perspective. You always want to give them a fair shake. You want to try to. You want to try to. Me personally, I'm always trying to find a way to reason with an individual, and I think that's important that we do that. Try to and not be judgmental. Or say try to understand what he's got going on. Sometimes it never makes sense, no matter how you try to slice it, and we got to just accept that too when that time comes, and just move on. Because everything ain't gonna make sense. So people just do things that don't know are nonsense. So yeah, the chocolate. What's going on with my family? So yeah, anybody you got anything that they want to ask, now will be the time. I got we had a litter of puppies. Special announcement. We had the Bagheera had a litter for us. The first time in history that I know of. We're gonna tie in Bagheera with the Target's blood. Yeah, it's like that. We got Target's. Remember, this is the father of quite a few phenomenal dogs. Not Shaka Zulu, but the one dog Shaka from Youngstown, not the one from Brooklyn. Let me share. Oh yeah, let me share this with you all. My boy Shaka is doing phenomenal. I think that it's important that it's fair. It's unfair to not share what my guy is having going on. Fun in the sun. Just turned 2 years old. Hold on now. Yeah, my man's just turned 2 years old. Might not be able to. Okay, let me see. All right. Let me see. All right.
Sit. Good boy. Plots. Stay. Go get it.
Come on, guys. Later, let's go. Drop your ass. All the way up, Ed.
Come on, hurry up. Up.
Okay.
Go get it. Up.
What's the command that he's going downwards?
Plots.
Plots.
German for
German.
down.
It is German.
Yeah.
That's it.
Most of German's like the hardest
German.
language in the world. So.
Yeah.
And there's like fervor in that language. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Sort of like yelling at a dog.
Even you're saying the nicest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't listen to other people anyway, so
Yeah, it's right. He's a one-person dog.
yeah, it's hard enough for him to listen to me. So. Hup! Hurry up!
Samson. He's smaller than.
Where's the ball, idiot? So,
And there's like fervor in that language. You know
yeah.
So
Plots.
German for
German.
down.
It is German.
Yeah.
That's it.
see this moment right
Hurry
here. Okay. I want to talk about that moment right there. I want to talk about that moment. That was a good example. That dog right there that dog is intense. He was always intense. Remember, I spoke on him from the beginning, how he had an intense beat, rhythm from the day that he was born in comparison to his sibling. There was only 2 puppies in the litter. Now, that dog is 2 years old, but you got to understand that the owner and the dog are very in tune. Did you see? I went back to that moment, and you can run it back on the camera on your video. The posture, pay attention to the posture of the dog. And at that moment, the owner is also observative. He called the dog to break his attention. But if you look at the dog, he was beginning to posture to show that he was asserting himself. So that's a good tip. That's a great understanding of dog behavior, communicating with your dog, and knowing when to interrupt the dog's, break the dog's focus. So you have to be able to recognize that that's a beautiful example of a cohesive relationship between the dog and his owner. The dog was getting ready to make a decision. He was posturing. He was, as a dog, a dominant dog, you as the owner have to be mindful of your dog's feelings at that time, right? Especially in a public setting, because this dog could be like a weapon. And if the dogs get into a scuffle, 9 times out of 10, the Boerboel's gonna come out on top, and you need to be prepared to deal with that. If that happens, situation presents itself, the other dog was also positioning itself. 9 times out of 10, when you go to a dog park or public setting where dogs are going to be off leash, they have these rules that they're understanding that dogs may get into scuffles. But with a Boerboel, it's going to be serious. Somebody might be looking for compensation because your dog may need to go to see the veteran. They may feel that way about the dog. There may be some injuries to their dog. So you got to be mindful of that. But that's a great example of the dog showing, and I will show it again. He's out playing. I don't know if you can hear me or not when this is playing, but watch. Let's do it on mute. So you see the dog is out. He's playing. It's a bunch of dogs there. It's a bunch of dogs. Yeah, see here, right there. Okay. Now I don't know if he can't find the ball, but this dog right here is also showing interest. This dog in the corner here, that's in front of the guy. I don't know if that's his guy or what. You also got this dog down here, the small dog in the middle. So yeah, it looked like this dog right here approached Shaka. And that's where he was responding. He was responding at that moment. At that moment where the other dog, when you see the other dog approach, and then you see Shaka with his tail up, that's where both owners need to be aware of their dog's behavior at that time, their dog's feelings at that time, their dog's mental state, their mind state, because that could be elite, that could be temporary, that could be confrontational situation. I appreciate everybody. I hope that you walked away with something more than you came with, and because you spent your time, and I want to make it worth your while. I appreciate you for joining. I appreciate y'all for supporting. Don't forget to subscribe for real, because I see a lot of people that watch don't subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, and we're going to be in touch. We're definitely going to be in touch. We're going to be back next week with another exciting episode. We're going to be doing some working out with the dogs, weight pulling with the dogs. We're going to be getting them out there on the sled. We're going to do that 5-mile run. We got a gang of videos. I hope that y'all enjoying the content. We just reached 10 million views on YouTube. So we're celebrating that. We want to pat ourselves on the back, but we couldn't have done it without y'all. So I appreciate everyone that came out to visit and that's spending everyone that's rocking with us, steady going. We're gonna keep giving our best efforts until it's time for us to stop. So let it be known that that's what's going on. Appreciate y'all.
No rush, go on, move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and gloves. Now you got a deal run up. No rush, go on, move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and now you got a deal run up. Whole gang, whole man, old school, young jam.